There is a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you realize something is wrong. Not out there, but in here. You're doing everything you were told would make you free. You wake up, you work, you push, you survive. You smile when you're supposed to. You stay silent when it's safer. You chase things you were told would matter. And yet, there's a weight, a quiet pressure inside your chest that never really leaves. A voice that whispers, "This isn't it." Have you ever felt that? Like you're living inside invisible walls, walls no one else can see, but you feel them every single day. And here's the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You can live in the freest country in the world and still be a prisoner in your own mind. Let me ask you something. If everything around you disappeared, your job, your titles, your expectations, who would you be? Not who they told you to be, not who you pretend to be. Who are you, really? Because that question, that uncomfortable, unsettling question, is where freedom begins. Most people misunderstand this. They think freedom is something you gain when circumstances change, when you finally have enough money, enough time, enough approval, enough control. But what if I told you that's the very belief keeping you trapped? What if the prison was never outside? What if the bars were built from your own thoughts? Think about it. Every fear that stops you, every doubt that weakens you, every story you repeat in your head. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What will they think? What if I fail? These are not facts. They are learned limits. And here's the part no one tells you. You didn't choose them. They were given to you. By society, by fear, by past pain, by moments when you were hurt, rejected, or made to feel small. And slowly, over time, you believed them. You built an identity around them. You became them. But listen carefully. What is learned can be unlearned. What is built can be broken. And what is conditioned can be freed. But only if you are willing to face something most people run from their entire lives: yourself. Let me take you somewhere for a moment. Imagine a man locked in a cell. The walls are cold. The door is sealed. The world outside moves on without him. Days turn into years. Years turn into decades. At first, he fights. He resists. He dreams of escape. But slowly, something changes. He adapts. He stops imagining freedom. He stops questioning the walls. He accepts the cell as reality. Now here's the question. Is he still a prisoner because of the walls, or because he no longer believes he can leave? Think about that. Because this is exactly what happens inside the human mind. At some point, you stopped questioning your limits. You stopped challenging your fears. You stopped imagining something greater. And not because you're weak, but because you were conditioned to survive, not to be free. But what if today you remembered something? What if today something inside you woke up? What if the voice you've been ignoring, the one that says there's more, is actually the truest part of you? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly free? Not distracted, not entertained, not temporarily happy. Free. The kind of freedom where your mind is quiet, where your decisions are your own, where fear doesn't control your actions. Most people can't answer that. And that's not an accident, because the world is designed to keep your mind busy, not free. Busy with comparison, busy with pressure, busy with noise. So you never sit still long enough to question the cage. But here's what nobody tells you. Silence is dangerous, because in silence you start to see clearly, and clarity destroys illusion. Let me explain. Every limitation you believe in only survives because you never fully examine it. The moment you stop and ask, "Is this actually true?" everything begins to shift. I can't do this. Says who? I'm not capable. Based on what? I'll fail.
Compared to who? Do you see what's happening? The mind, when unchallenged, becomes your prison, but the mind, when questioned,
becomes your liberation. Here's the shift. Freedom is not about removing obstacles. It's about removing the belief that you cannot overcome them. And that changes everything. Because now, you are no longer waiting for permission. You are no longer waiting for the right time. You are no longer waiting for fear to disappear. You act despite it. You move with it. You grow through it. That is freedom. But let me be honest with you. This path is not comfortable. In fact, it's the opposite. Because the moment you begin to free your mind, you will face resistance from others and from yourself. People will question you. They will doubt you. They will try to pull you back into the version of you they understand. And your own mind will fight to protect the identity it has known for years. You'll hear things like, "This is risky. This isn't who you are. Go back to what's safe." And here's where most people turn back. Not because they can't go forward, but because discomfort feels like danger. But what if I told you, discomfort is not the enemy? It's the doorway. Every version of you that ever grew was built in moments that felt uncertain, unfamiliar, and uncomfortable. So the next time you feel that tension, don't run. Lean in, because something inside you is expanding. Let me ask you something deeper. What are you afraid will happen if you truly become free? Not surface-level fear. Go deeper. Are you afraid of failure? Or are you afraid of being seen trying? Are you afraid of losing? Or are you afraid of letting go of the identity that kept you safe? Because here's the truth. Freedom comes with responsibility. When you stop blaming your past, when you stop waiting for approval, when you stop hiding behind excuses,
There's no one left to point at. Only you. And for many people, that feels terrifying. But for those who understand, it is the most powerful position you can ever be in. Because now, your life is no longer controlled by what happened to you. It is shaped by what you choose next. That is power. That is ownership. That is freedom. But let me bring you back for a moment. Remember the invisible walls? They don't disappear overnight. They weaken every time you challenge them. Every time you take a step forward despite fear. Every time you question a limiting belief. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you create a crack. And cracks let light in. Slowly, the walls begin to fade. Not because they were destroyed, but because you stopped believing in them. And this is where something extraordinary happens. You begin to trust yourself. Not the perfect version of you, not the fearless version of you, the real you. The one who feels fear but moves anyway. The one who doubts but continues anyway. The one who falls but rises again. That version of you is unstoppable. Because freedom is not the absence of struggle. It is the ability to face struggle without losing yourself. Let me tell you something powerful. The strongest people in the world are not those who have never been broken. They are those who refused to stay broken. They questioned their pain. They redefined their story. They chose growth when it would have been easier to stay the same. And in doing so, they freed their minds. So let me ask you again, what is holding you back right now? Is it really the situation, or is it the story you've attached to it? Because change the story and you change everything. I'm stuck becomes I'm learning. I failed becomes I'm evolving. I'm not enough becomes I'm becoming. And those small shifts create massive transformation. But here's where it all comes together. Freedom is not a destination, it's a decision. a decision you make every single day, to think differently, to act intentionally, to refuse the limits that once defined you. And yes, some days will be harder than others. Some days, the old patterns will return, the doubts will be louder, the fear will feel stronger. But remember this: progress is not perfection. Freedom is not about never falling back. It's about recognizing it and choosing to rise again every time. Because each time you do, you strengthen something inside you that cannot be taken away: your inner authority, your self-trust, your freedom. And eventually, something shifts permanently. You stop seeking validation. You stop fearing judgment. You stop living for expectations that were never yours to begin with. And for the first time, you breathe differently. You think differently. You live differently. Not because your life became easier, but because your mind became free. And that changes everything. So as you sit here right now, let this land. You are not trapped. You are not limited. You are not defined by your past, your fears, or your circumstances. You are defined by your willingness to question them, to challenge them, to rise beyond them. Because the moment you realize that the key was never outside, but always within you, is the moment everything changes. And here's the truth I want you to carry with you. No one can give you freedom, and no one can take it away, because real freedom does not live in the world. It lives in your mind. So I'll leave you with this. What are you still holding on to that's holding you back? And more importantly, what are you ready to let go of starting today?